We have so much to do today. I am so thrilled. I actually wanted to start this early because there is so much to this. So expect an hour. We might go a little over. For those of you who have actually joined me before, know that once I get started, a lot starts to come through, and it is very, very powerful. So I wanted to jump right in today. I wish you a warm, warm welcome. And if you're live or if you're on the replay, do say hello in the chat or the comments. There is a chat going on here. We're going to get started. There's, like I said, a lot to cover around this. And yeah, I cannot wait. I am very, very excited that after this new year, a lot has really come through. I've been speaking to a lot of my clients. There's a lot going on in terms of, what is being planned for 2025. And I know many of you, including myself, have gone through some really, really deep energetic shifts. And this really is the time for the new era visionary. The way that we look at business, the way that we look at connections, energy, wealth, all of these things are shifting. We are not settling for surface results. We are not settling for the ordinary. We are certainly not settling for anything that doesn't feel good, deep in our bones. Yes? Let me know if this resonates with you. This is an extremely powerful moment in time for those of you on the leading edge. I can absolutely feel it. Let me know if you feel this as well. And by the end of the session, my intention is that we are going to uncover some of the biggest unconscious and conscious limiters to your expansion into your next level of success. So we're going to decode what has been keeping you from that next, we'll call it the quantum leap in your next level of wealth. So I want to start with an immediate reframe energetically. What if the plateau that you're currently facing isn't the limit, but an actual portal, a portal to your next level of wealth, your next level of influence, your next level of sovereignty? So I'm going to just drop that right there. So before we dive in, there are some beautiful new faces in this group. So for those of you who are just joining me for the first time, hello, I'm Lauren Zablunov, and I am a metaphysical advisor for elite visionaries, 6, 7, 8-figure CEOs, founders, innovators, redefining success from multiple industries. Through my Black Diamond process, I illuminate, I shift the hidden energetic distortions that are keeping you from from experiencing your highest potential, and really help you collapse time towards your legacy goals. So you shift on a soul and identity level. I also address 3D strategics as well, but this is really the foundation of the work that comes first, so that you can experience overflow in not just your business, but in all areas. But my Black Diamond process is it's not a mainstream approach. It's not a one-dimensional approach. It's very multidimensional, because you are very multidimensional and very unique. And so we're going to get into some of these factors today around that. So if my work has resonated with you, most likely you are multidimensional, you're high performing, you're a seeker, you probably don't like to play by anyone else's playbook. I have a lot of you in here. This is very much the way I operate as well. And you're highly attuned, you're self-mastered to a degree, right? You have you've created a version of success, but you're looking for depth, you're looking for refinement, and you've mastered so much, but there might still be this undercurrent of dissatisfaction. Maybe progress feels a little bit harder than it should, even though you feel like you're doing all the right things and you know what to do. Progress feels just a little bit harder, or success has had some form of sacrifice in some other area of life. And you're ready in this moment in time to break through that plateau, not just in money, but in personal fulfillment and impact. So you've probably also tried it all: coaches, masterminds, frameworks, retreats, from business to personal and spiritual, and you still feel like maybe something is off, or maybe something's just not moving with the grace and the hyper speed that you truly desire. So maybe there is that secret frustration, that you haven't figured out really where to look and you've tried a lot. You also might be bored with incremental. So you know that you should be experiencing something far different. There is this craving for depth, a different level of wealth, influence, satisfaction. And because you're a conscious visionary, you most likely also love to be at your own edges. I am absolutely like this as well, being challenged in that way, living at that edge of your own very potential, right? You have a high standard and you do not settle for mediocre. So your own personal development is a key to your thriving success. And if you have a mission, also, it's most likely very, very tied to that personal evolution. And it's tied to your heart, something that goes far beyond just you. So let me know if this resonates. Feel free to use the chat. But what's happening right now, what we want to address is the plateau of wealth. And when I say wealth, yes, I do mean money and personal prosperity, because for me, wealth really has no other definition. And it's one thing to have it look all good on paper, all good on social media, in front of the team, online, and another to really experience it in your bones, the thing that you truly desire in the way that you want to experience it, right? So the work that I do is in refinement. And you're going to learn that today. If you haven't joined me before, we're going to go into really nitty-gritty things, because this really is about the energetic refinement. You're not here for basic. I work with extremely incredible visionaries and founders who are really looking for that level of refinement to explode to their next level of wealth and potentiality. The 1% of the 1% of humans who you've explored a lot already. You've done a ton of inner work. There is no doubt about that. And one of my gifts is really, besides assisting in the actual architecture of your vision, is to really see what you might not have been seeing or acknowledging. And I make it clear and simple, and we don't make a big deal of it, and we shift it and we collapse time. And this is my particular flavor of collapsing time for my clients. It's not about adding more effort or following someone else's playbook or blueprint. It's about uncovering and shifting your very unique energetic baseline to unlock that flow of money, influence, satisfaction. So getting to the true roots and the portal for you with results that crack open new ways of being. So let me know if this resonates. Are you feeling this? And today I want to address the common threads here, so we can get you shifting a bit. Even here on this call, on this masterclass, I've helped hundreds at this point of clients. Watching this happen is so different every single time. And I absolutely love it, because it is sometimes like one thing, one minor shift, and boom, it's like dominoes. The deal goes through, the messages come in, the clients reach out, that invoice that was just hanging out in someone's inbox gets paid, the investments come through, the investment happens, the thing that maybe you felt like you need to work for shows up, or just the actual experience of feeling alive and connected to your work, which in turn just becomes magnetic to other people. And so sure in your knowing, like this for me is everything. And I want to really highlight, because this was a question that I had asked myself around this, why is it that one person takes the same exact steps and everything, works and they get results, and another takes the same exact 3-dimensional steps and gets no results? And this is part of the reason why, for me, my own personal technology evolved, and the Black Diamond process, and looking at that was actually a source of frustration for me for a good while. And I realized, this really is in your unique energetic body. Once you know your unique limiters, this gets to shift fast. So I've had people hide for decades behind a business that was absolutely misaligned, and they were terrified of really showing up. Let me just silence my phone. They were terrified of showing up, showing who they were, unlocking that next level, because there was this kind of veil over what they were willing to do or willing to show or be vulnerable about. And we went from them being terrified and hiding and unlocking that next level potential in 2 sessions, building an entire business and ecosystem. After a decade of almost like holding it in, and then finally when we had it was like the release and they were allowed to do what they wanted to do, that's when, of course, right, that's when it worked, not when they were following what other people thought about what their business should be like. So I've also had clients for a year just be stagnant, remaining at a plateau, not feeling like they were being seen, not making the money that they felt that they truly should, while colleagues were out there killing it. And they were actually on the verge of giving up. And only to, we got on a laser call and finally dove into the actual desire. And that in turn reignited their whole fire again, their creativity, their flow. And that emerged after a single session, right? So this doesn't need to be like really complicated at all. And I'm hoping that after today, I'm actually knowing that after today, this is going to prove extremely valuable for you, because something is going to pop. I can feel it in the energy already. And so for them, it was a year of doing nothing, almost giving up, to then after the session, like the app was created, the business ecology was all set, and it just required that last bit of really leading themselves through this profound shift to launch it in the way that they knew only they could. It wasn't a business, it then became a mission, right? So people often come to me when they've tried all the things. They've either hired all of the executive coaches and advisors, and they felt like they just hadn't really hit really that thing. They hadn't hit it. They hadn't hit the thing that they really, really desired, or they tried the retreats or the millionaire gurus and the masterminds because they saw, right, what others had created. And yes, so I want to make it super clear that yes, always learn from the best. I do as well, right? You mentor, but there comes this pivotal point when my clients come to me, and when it's time to shift that power into greater sovereignty and energetic precision. And it has nothing to do with who you're working with, who you're mentoring with, the events that you're attending, the networking that you're going to, the rooms that you're sitting in. At this point, it often isn't strategic at all. And what I've often found is that I've had to kind of deprogram them from those spaces so that they can then show up fully in their full sovereignty and expression on their own energetic terms. So here's the thing. We're going to go through the energetics today that will be illuminating for you. So we're going to go, like I said, for about an hour, probably more of this. Plan an hour and 15. Let's see what we can do. Just hoping that phone call is not from my daughter's school. But this is it, multi-dimensional. You guys are witnessing it literally right here. So we're going to go a little over an hour as I channel this, but just a reminder that this goes deeper. This isn't just about seeing it. It's not just about clarity, although that's so powerful. It's in the long-term activation of learning how to be this shift, be this new identity again and again. So yes, shifts are hyperspeed and very fast in my world. I'm here to help you collapse time. Yes, yes, yes to all of it. All of it is possible. And I also want to scare away the folks and draw a line in the sand right now. I'm not here for speed's sake. I'm not here for like, oh, thanks for the activation, have a kind of mindgasm and then go right back to what you're doing. and sitting at your cap again. We're not here for that. This is really an experience of telling yourself the truth at a very different level so that you can shift, that you can, break the current spell. And this isn't a judgment, because this was literally me for years, and it can be very, very easy to fall in that vortex. And I want to just address that right off the bat. I want to make it really clear that the people that I work with and who actually get results are, yes, they're the hungry ones. They do the work and are willing to look deeper than most, are willing to get more vulnerable than most. And I so love them for it. Sometimes it really just hits me how lucky I am to have these very deep confidential spaces to work on this with my clients. And what they share with me is really, really profound. And I honor each one of you here as well, to just, that you're taking the time to be here, whether you're live or on the replay. I know we have people literally all over the world in incredible places. So there's the illumination, and then there's the work of becoming it and embodying it, right? And it's about becoming the person who sustains and expands it long term. I work with those who are playing the long game, right? But can also hold the paradox of their goals shifting and really happening in record time. So to put it another way, I want to just talk about the energy at this level. When you get a burst of energy and things work, and they work because you're in flow, you get the download, you get inspired, you get the illumination. It's like that first catapult, right? And it's so, so good. However, if you're not wearing the wings to keep flying, if you haven't prepared for long-term flight, gravity is going to pull you down. Just like your energetic baseline is going to bring you right back to that cap, like your safety brake. And we'll talk about this a bit. You'll see in these where you might be capping yourself, where you're seeing those patterns of income, and seeing where maybe we haven't prepared. We have the wings. We don't have the wings where the gravity is kind of pulling us down. That's where you're reaching that energetic baseline again and again. And the paradox is the long-term aspect of recoding sometimes needs to happen. If you've not gotten to that root of the plateau, and most of the time it isn't what we think it is. And I'm here to help you with, yes, the catapult part where things really happen fast. And it's so much fun. And also the wings part, so that you get to keep the overflow, you get to keep the momentum, and you're not falling back in gravity to the energetic baseline. Okay, makes sense? All right. Beautiful. Okay, energy. We know about energy. You know about energy. You know about what you emit matters. And what you admit matters too, by the way, A and E. How we move matters. Who we're being matters. Our ability as conscious creators are affected by this. But even if we desire a thing, to double our income, to land bigger deals, to be recognized in a more powerful way, to live in alignment with that destiny and sovereignty and our highest potency, our mind and heart desires it, right? But if underneath our energy is often fractured around it, it isn't fully in alignment with that desire, it doesn't actually manifest in our reality. And this is why someone can have, once again, same playbook and never have it work. Because also your energetic body and operating system is different. Your fuel is different. This is why when people work with me, we identify what is your fuel. So you're not trying to run a premium race car on like chocolate bars, right? Your fuel is not someone else's fuel. By the way, your fuel might be chocolate bars, and that is totally okay. But when we address it, it is important that we get to the actual root of the thing. So once again, we need to get to that root, which isn't always in our consciousness. So when I'm looking at my own journey and that of my clients, when I'm going within and really, when I was preparing for this, really asking those questions of the universe and really feeling into these subtle frequencies, how can I help my people? And how can I help those just entering my world? These were some of the top things that came through, and there are a lot of them. But I decided also this year for me, I'm not going to translate and I'm not going to filter. So here it is in its raw form, and I encourage you to use the chat, ask questions, share your breakthroughs as they come through. Really, really beautiful thing to do. And yeah, we're going to go fast. So I was finding that the precision within these very specific things we're going to cover, that it was less about the effort. It was less about, the surface level, and it was more about the specificity inside the individual. It was the embodiment of it as well. And what the individual could energetically hold, right? When we're talking about that cap, sometimes we have this capacity that can be shifted quite quickly. But when we're talking about holding and having a capacity, it wasn't about pretense or some kind of energy management. A lot of people talk about that, like hold it or hold the frequency. To do that in a way that wasn't actually truth. Like, you're a kind person. You know that you're a business owner. You know that the sun will rise and the moon is out, right? It isn't the knowing. And this is really true embodiment, not pretense and pretending. So if you're seeing a plateau despite the effort, experiencing emotions like frustration, regret, shame, burnout, whatever that is, there shouldn't be any shame around it. All of these are absolutely portals. And these can be really shifted with an energetic precision that will absolutely affect how much you receive, how much you create, and as well, how much you can hold, right? We're talking about those energetic wings again, right? And it's how magnetic you are. It affects the magnetism to the clients and the deals that you desire to make, the actions you're taking, how your ideas even come into being, and the actual potency and power of them. So I'd love to hear who is brave enough to share what is the challenge for you right now. Feel free to share a couple sentences. What's coming up for you around this? And feel free to write this in the chat. And I want to just point out that this is the first alchemy. And it was very, very interesting. I've had many, many conversations, especially over this week, with incredible visionaries. And it really struck me how so many don't want to admit challenge. This is a tangent, but I want to put this here because this is an actual alchemy, because I've had the same thing that, when you're a leader or when you're a visionary or when you have this forward facing, like you're known to share a challenge, can be very vulnerable. It could almost feel like a weakness, but guaranteed that this is a code of power for you. And most won't go there to actually say this is a challenge. Like, let it be okay that even at your level of business, even at your level of awareness, let it be okay to say something isn't working. And this isn't even like a lot of people who are into consciousness and spirituality, like, oh, I can't speak the thing because I'm going to create the thing. Actually, if you're avoiding the thing, if you can't speak the thing in neutrality, then you're not going to, I'll say, overcome it. It's not going to break that spell. It will always have, this is what I'm talking about, that undercurrent, and I can feel that. And once again, this is something that I've alchemized for myself and continue to alchemize, because once you say it is okay, once you unshame it, once you can say the thing and you can actually articulate it, this in itself is an alchemy, guaranteed. Once you admit the thing, you shift. And also, thanks again to those of you who did share their answers with me privately, who were sharing their challenges with me. So some of you are telling me that you're at a plateau, but you don't exactly know how to fully articulate it. It's frustrating. You've been creating things before, and it's like something's calling you into this deeper level of integrity. And today's going to shift that for you. I always get people who have these like immediate breakthroughs and results, even just like when they sign up. Today, we're also going to give you some of the deeper components that's going to lead you through those breakthroughs in the coming weeks. I know others are looking to really build a legacy, and financially it's moving slower than you've planned. even though it looks incredible on paper, there's more, and you know it. I've got you. We're going to talk about that. And for others, it's, you know, building a new kind of confidence and power, a deeper knowing of your ability to create your destiny, not chase it, and not, you know, just waiting and wanting the things to come to you, to really have a stability in knowing this power and have it reflect in your business and your leadership. So I know that already this is really powerful. Thank you, Daniel. So we have the brave one here. Yes. So if it is going slower, these are keys to hyperspeed. These aren't just things to look at. These are things to alchemize. So let's go right into the blind spots of for multidimensional 6, 7, 8-figure visionaries. I have so much to cover, as I've said, but I want to move through these and get your assessment at the end to see which ones are resonating with you. So number one, I felt really called to start here, and maybe it's just because somebody in this direct field of in this masterclass has this. Very interesting. Like, I wouldn't have led with this, but I think this is important for some of you. And number one is the round table that surrounds you. So every visionary we know needs a round table, a curated circle that expands their frequency, expands their power, and pushes their boundaries, truly challenges them. But what I see time and time again, and yes, even the most successful leaders unconsciously settle in this area. Their round table is not expansive enough. So here's what this looks like. You have strategic mentors who provide tactics and frameworks, but they don't truly elevate you. You might feel inspired initially, but you know, before long you realize, you know, you're kind of stuck in their playbook. You're bending yourself into a box that doesn't really align with your unique operating system. And this is very sneaky, and sometimes we don't see it. And maybe you've like chased the numbers or someone else's results, but that was rooted in scarcity, feeling like if you didn't, you'd get left behind, that maybe they knew something you didn't. You're enamored with their idea of success or their result, right? So it's kind of like chasing the shiny objects, the next big mastermind, the next iconic coach, only to discover that same loop, right? You already know what's being taught. The promised results maybe require you to override your instincts. You feel stifled, unseen. Maybe you're out of your creative flow. You got the results, but then you outgrew them, you outgrew the space, and it feels stale in some way. Curious if you've experienced this. I have. More ways than I can count. This is absolutely part of the entrepreneurial journey, especially if you're high performing, especially if you're moving fast, right? And I've spoken to more clients than I can count who've experienced this and didn't realize sneakily they had already shifted. They ended up in rooms that weren't a good fit, or they were a good fit and now they're not, but it's like you're still in them. And this happens because very often we're operating from logic, and makes sense to, of course, yes, have a mentor, yes, learn a new way, absolutely crucial. Many of you invest, you know, upwards of six figures to do so, right? But what I see very often is comes from the identity that got you there, or the distorted code of scarcity, or that when we continue in spaces that we outgrown, it happens in mentorship, friendship, colleagues, clients too, guys. And a lot of very successful people come to me with this and feel really uncomfortable because it means they need to move out of old spaces. It's a big, big stretch to see that you're playing in an old space, in an old identity, but that's not what's going to take you to the next level. So at this stage, the more you're leaning on external blueprints of others, the further you're straying from your genius. It is frustrating. You're not innovating in the way that you want. You're not in the energy of limitless creation. You feel unseen, maybe unappreciated, even when you're achieving. And this is such like a fracture energy because you're like, there's judgment. How can I feel this way when I'm in these spaces? But if you really look at it and tell yourself the truth, actually, this isn't feeling expansive for me. And I've seen many visionaries frustrated like this, then judging themselves for it. Shouldn't feel this way. I already have so much, right? I have great clients, I have great mentors. This was me. Like, I am crazy. Absolutely crazy for being dissatisfied. And so I actually held it in for a good long while, not realizing where I was placing myself. I'm just curious, have you felt this? I know this pattern very intimately, I've asked myself also, why is their strategy working so well, but it's absolutely dead energetically for me? So the truth is, you are at an invitation point. This is the moment to stop relying on an old way and refine your energetic alignment, okay? Because you're not meant to do it their way at all. In fact, you can do the opposite way, or you could do a little bit of their way and something else. It looks completely different for every individual. And this next area of refinement to really look at the subtle energies that are going to shift you into your highest creations, activating success at a new level of wealth, right? So who is sitting at your round table? The people you surround yourself with. Yeah, I felt this a lot. Yes. And so it's such an interesting thing that we think that maybe doesn't matter as much as some of the other things, but actually it does. So the people you're surrounding yourself with, mentors, colleagues, peers, advisors, they have effect on your energy. I don't want to say they shape your energy because you are a sovereign being, but like by extension, your results are affected. And I've seen this with some of the most iconic spaces, masterminds, mentorships that should elevate, but instead stifle unconsciously. And I know most of you curate your spaces to a very high degree. Once again, I want to go deeper than you've ever gone before because these add up. So here's the problem. Visionaries join prestigious masterminds or follow high-level mentors who have the 10x results, right? But they end up dimming their own light, overriding their instincts with logic or someone else's proven strategy or something shiny, and they leave unfilled. It's uninspiring, or they just feel boxed in despite achieving outward success. So they fear sometimes sharing also maybe what they're working on because there's a fear of criticism, right? Like to share the big wins because they're almost embarrassed, or share the big vision because the people inside cannot hold that next level version of you. Or some of my clients actually sway the other way too. Like they're like, forget it, I'm a lone wolf. I'm going to do it my own way because no one really gets me. No one really gets the scope of what I want to do. So I'm going to just kind of close in. We get that too, right? I've been on both sides of that. So when you're in spaces you've outgrown, your round table is reinforcing these old patterns instead of calling you into new dimensions. So there's a lot of energetics at play here. There are reasons for why personally you're doing this, but I wanted to address this. Where are you sitting now? That's reinforcing, those old patterns of beliefs. Feel free to elaborate, type in the chat if things are coming through for you. I've seen this, like I said, in those iconic spaces that I have participated in or my clients have. Masterminds, mentors are in growth that are supposed to be growth spaces, right? They're actually stifling and slowing down your next level wealth energetically because they actually can't hold your vision. So I can see where this is immediately. I see where you might be hiding, where you might be dimming or diluting your genius. And we make it okay to just move into that next identity. And this is where my work isn't linear, but it's simple. Because most visionaries have not received the deepest permission from themselves, for themselves. And I've had clients come to me saying they finally created a mission, not just a business, that the sales came in, the Netflix show idea launched after months of dry spells after we worked together. And in the same breath had told me that their last mentor told them that their vision and their mission was to La La Land. That is an exact quote. This really pisses me off. So that individual did not even think that their vision was possible. They didn't even think about the vision or entertain the idea of the vision until we worked on it together. Because of that, they felt okay to work in the lesser, more palatable form of that vision that got the okay from the mentor or their team or their collaborators, whatever, but not the full vision. And so we are here for the full freaking vision. Yes? Yes. So can you imagine how many dreams and legacies are just die or are dying because those who were surrounding those people were dimming the beacon, or they themselves were dimming the beacon. I'm talking about, high ticket iconic mentors in various spaces. And I'm talking all the way to like who's your round table, even just who you're consuming on your social feed, right? This is all part of that. So number one, I'm going to wrap it up. Are the people at your round table expanding your vision or caging it? What do you really feel when you get off call conversation? Do you feel possibility, expansion, or fear, anxiety, dullness, constriction? Like it's a requirement for you to follow that? Are they operating in a frequency that actually supports non-linear rapid expansion that you desire? Are they tethered to that logic and limitation? Once again, not saying the logic is bad. You have both. But if you're only stuck in one dimension, that's all you're going to get, right? So if you want non-linear, we've got to go there in non-linear spaces. So have you outgrown the spaces you're currently in? So the subtle red flags, people telling you the market won't buy that, the market's poor, you can't charge that much, no one's done this before. What if you simplified it so people could understand? Have you heard that one? That happens to me all the time. What if you simplified it? Like, no, no, I won't. You don't get it, you get it. It's like, you know. So these questions are essential, because this could mean the difference between that next level available to you now, the opening of the $500,000 idea, or the consistent fighting against the energetic pull of your destiny and someone else's idea of it, which is a huge energy drain, and that just keeps you capped. So on the surface, it might look like logic, but for a visionary, I'm going to tell you logic is a trap. If you want a logical, extraordinary results, you must step into spaces that defy the rules, right? So being in a space that reinforces your own consciousness, right? It's not going to work. People are only seeing you as you were, not who you're becoming or who you are. Advisors who keep you tethered to the systems or strategies of your past or their past, this creates friction, especially when you're ready to make the bold moves that you are right now, like launching that audacious project, raising your fees, stepping into a new identity, right? What most don't realize is that your next level isn't linear at the stage. It is energetic. And the question isn't just about who's at your round table. It's whether they're elevating your frequency or they're dimming it. It's whether they're seeing you in your truest power or you're convincing them to, translating yourself and fighting for your expansion. So like I said, I've worked with clients who said, people have told them about their vision that it's like, oh, that's too out there. No way. Too out there, only to then bring it to life, do it anyway, remove themselves from those spaces and see the world respond so beautifully. Netflix shows being greenlit, clients flowing in without chasing, the bigger money deals closing at hyperspeed, right? Why? Because they stepped into the energy of their next level with guidance that honor their unique path and not someone else's playbook, right? You're not here to fit in anyone's box. You're here to rewrite the rules entirely. So who's at your round table? Are they holding you back or propelling you into the unimaginable? Okay. We're like more than halfway through and I'm like, I have so many points for you guys. How's everyone doing? Quick check-in. How are we feeling? Breakthroughs coming in, seeing where some of this is showing up in your reality. And we're going to get into this next one, which I almost want to say is complex one. There are lots of dimensions I want to cover here. Good. So the next one is validation. The trap of validation. It is a confidence and conviction killer, and this dulls magnetism and closes doors when I know you want them opening and being thrown open. So let's address one of the most kind of insidious energy leaks I see in visionaries at your level that need for validation. And this is not about superficial approval, because most of you right now will probably be saying, well, I don't care what anyone else is thinking. I'm going to freaking do it. Totally said this. I don't care. Until I saw it at the subtle levels. So it's deeper and more subtle. Like I said, getting to the root, because sometimes we don't realize that what's underneath and how we're operating is actually looking for a subtle validation. And it's like a hidden tether to external markers that dictate your next move. So it shows up in one, validation through money first, not desire. So you might be measuring the validity of your ideas, whether they will make money, before grounding them in your actual true vision and desire. this creates an energy of chasing rather than leading. It's disruptive, yes, because the rule book of business you've played from, right, sometimes requires market validation. Talk to your people. You need to validate in the market, right? But I'm going to challenge this, because if you're not happy, I don't care who validates it. I don't care how much money you're making. And I've watched so many people go on to just do that process, reach the top of the mountain, be like, well, that sucks. So if you're not happy, what is the point? If energy and wealth is not flowing, if you believe it can only come to you this one way through this one source, guaranteed it is blocking you in co-creating powerfully. So one of my clients, a high-level mentor, was stuck in the loop of like launching these offers designed purely to sell well. That's all I could think about. He would just ask me, will people want this? Will it sell? Will it work? How do I get it so people will think it's valuable? These offers were logical, proven, sure, but extremely uninspired, right? So what is the energy behind that? Of course, we worked together. They launched something that they actually wanted. It was so coded for them. And of course, it took record time to set up, like fast. A couple of sessions, it was like 2 or 3. Everything was laid out without complication, right? It felt like a relief. It felt effortless, right? And what do you think that does to the energetics of it? What do you think it does to the magnetism of the thing that you're creating? Because it wasn't because they didn't work. It was, we'll say hard work, right? It was because it felt so expansive. That's where the effortlessness came. Of course, all those things are going to fall in place easy. Of course, the clients came because he was excited about it. But there was this level of needing to validate before that lost the energetic juice from it. And people were like, no thanks. So anything you create in power is going to be 100 times, 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times more potent. And I'm going to also say 1,000,000 times more fun. So the shift happened when they stopped using money as the validation tool and the sales, and instead trusted their ability to create from this deeply conscious space. This happens when you already have the money as well. It won't matter because you're going to keep looking over here first to determine your next move. And then you're at the mercy of it. So when things go up and down, then you are at the mercy of it, right? When you are the energetic source of this, you're not tethered to that. So when you stop asking these questions, you learn to root into your power and into what you decide happens. And then your conviction becomes that fuel to create. So I see a lot of this like validating on the money and validation from the market, right? The market says this is what works. So you unconsciously or consciously comply, shaping your offers, shaping your pricings, shaping your identity, even your messaging to fit into what's in demand. You think that, or what you think that fits into demand, which actually isn't always the truth, right? So you adjust your projects subtly. You ignore and override what your gut is telling you, or like that crazy space where you're like, what if I just did this, right? What your intuitive genius is telling you, because it isn't proven or it isn't logical enough. Or you're in spaces, once again, where people only sit in what is logical and what the market will bear, et cetera, et cetera. But the market isn't your visionary guide. It's often a mirror of the average. I will say that again. The market isn't your visionary guide. It is often a mirror of the average. And I know that you are not here for average. So even the subtle adjustment now is what we need to look at. So like, how often have you maybe held back, diluted, or dismissed a wild idea because no one else is doing it? Or you thought no one will want this, no one will pay this, or even just be who you are. Like, for instance, for my own work, well, nobody's going to want these really artistic, blah, 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 blah. And, I'm told to shorten up and tighten up the copy. I've studied copywriting and messaging and whatever, and there are times where I use it, and there are times where I'm like, I refuse, because this is a transmission and this is the art. So do you think an artist is thinking about, if you're really an artist, will this sell, and then creating the work? No, the artist is, here's the full expression, here's my fullest freaking essence, and whoever resonates with it, it's going to be the beacon. And that is so magnetic. So, maybe you have heard, the market's not going to, whatever. The market's not ready for that. You've adjusted your pricing because people won't pay that price, or whatever, or pay for that specific thing. Or you stop something literally in its tracks because you believed no one would want it. Have you done this? example, I've seen a billionaire, decades of expertise, multiple billion-dollar exits, tell themselves their mentorship couldn't possibly be more than like, 500 an hour, maybe. He couldn't teach XYZ because that would be too out there. Nobody wanted it. No one wants this. How could they? And he kept looking for this validation. For real, yes. Of course, he went on to creating an empire. Of course, now has like $1 million and above packages, right? So what did he address? He wasn't addressing his strategy. He was addressing this. So the truth is, in the energetics, your most powerful ideas won't look like anything else out there. That's what makes them potent. And when you learn to be deeply connected to your genius, what is actually genius and not society's programming, mind you, then this is where collapsing time happens, because the potency is so strong. You learn the source of the idea, you address any energetic issues around it, you choose it, and it creates a hyperspeed. Otherwise, you get that feeling of like running uphill, and it's going to take a lot of effort and attention. All right, another validation, family, society. So many of us are shapeshifters, right? It is our power and it is our downfall, being able to navigate many spaces. But when success becomes a performance, an effort to meet expectations of others, you follow the template of what, success should look like, even when it doesn't resonate, or who you should be with family, colleagues, your audience. You might be expected to be one thing. I've watched clients come to me achieving success, right? Like multi-7 or 8-figure company, dream home, accolades, thriving business, whatever it is. Looks great on paper, nice. But sometimes people come to me when things stop working completely too. That's a thing too, coming down to zero. But it's like, the energy now is so precise that you cannot create on this kind of dead energy. You cannot create out of integrity. And this has absolutely happened to me as well. Things that stopped working that really worked before. So either way, deep down, for these people, it was they felt disconnected because their vision was never fully their own. They were chasing a blueprint handed down by their family or who your audience believes they're supposed to be. And it left no room for rapid evolution. I'm not even talking about just evolution. Like, you are here to evolve rapidly. Those are who are like coded to my spaces. So you go into like this performing mode, being someone that you maybe were or aren't anymore, and you're fractured. And because they know you as operating in one way or in one consciousness, but you're not there anymore. And so maybe people get triggered around that. That's okay. People start to question when you change, and maybe there's a fear there. Maybe there's this becomes this energetic limiter. Once again, I'm always speaking about the fractured energy, because if you're kind of straddling something, it's never going to be potent. It's like, water flowing in two places, where if it's flowing in the one, the current is really powerful and clear. This is how I look at it energetically. So maybe the family has a definition of success tied to legacy and material wealth, but yours looks different. Or maybe the outside world defines wealth as something evil, selfish, non-spiritual, whatever else, and it kind of dehumanizes those with wealth. So some of you are actually fighting against the idea that somehow you cannot be truly spiritual and wealthy at the same time, right? Like if we think about the California fires, very devastating. A lot of people were like, oh, they're just wealthy people, so they can just buy another home. And that's so dehumanizing, because so many people lost everything. I know people who did. And so please don't think this doesn't affect you if you're holding levels of subtle guilt or subtle shame or hiding a certain aspect of yourself or your desires, because it doesn't fit into the mold of what somebody expects of you or expects things to be like for you, out of fear that your family or society or whatever doesn't deem it spiritual enough, or, this is a big cap I see on conscious entrepreneurs at every level. And this is really where we release it. So through our work, we redefine what success looks like for you, and it can look any which way. So the results for my clients who have addressed this: selling parts of their business that didn't align, invested in a creative project that they'd ignored for years and doubled their revenue, quadrupled their fees, right? Crafting the business ecologies that were deeply resonant and calling in their soul people to work alongside them. It gets to be easy. I never thought I would say this, because I was also one who believed that like hard work, creates the result. No, it gets to be easy. It gets to be magnetic and fulfilling. And sometimes we're going on these templates of who've gone before. So sometimes we look to industry leaders or mentors for validation, trying to replicate their paths. But here's the truth: if it's already been done, it's not your path. So another client was enamored with this billionaire mentor's story of like scaling a company through very aggressive tactics. So of course they tried to mimic this approach, only to completely burn out their system and feel very misaligned. And I laugh because I have absolutely done the same as well. When we shifted though their focus back to their unique genius, they found a completely different approach that honored their creativity, that honored their own natural cycle. They built a new offer that felt effortless to deliver because it was so easy. People are so surprised by this. The thing that you think is just so simple, that's most likely an element of your genius. Like, people couldn't possibly want yes because it is so easy for you. And yeah, he attracted premium clients and saw results that felt like they defied time because of this. I love stories like this, because so many of my clients are like, wait, how the hell did you see this? It was just this little thing. How did you see this? And how the hell did this happen so fast? So fun. Looking for evidence that it can be done is another one. I want to go in here. It's another kind of form of outside validation that feels really good for your brain, right? You hesitate to act until there's proof that it will work. Hands up, those who like to think from their head, the analyzers in the house. Is this you? Let me know. I am also one of those. Even though you've taken huge amounts of risks to be where you are at, maybe some of them burned you. Yes. Yes. Hello. So maybe along the way, you've convinced yourself to, I probably should be more responsible. I was burned in the past. And, this is one of the biggest traps I see for visionaries, searching for external evidence instead of creating it. People are like, when I get this, I'll do this. I can't tell you how many times I've encountered this, from investments to ideas, whatever it is. How many times have you shelved things because you didn't see them working yet? Or how many things have you questioned and abandoned because you believe it wouldn't work, or didn't even make the move in the first place? What if the evidence was waiting for you to make the first move, to have the energetic conviction first? What if the energy required was unshakable conviction, because it actually is, and trust in the timeline that it gets to arrive, and it gets to be exactly how you desire to create it through the channel that you desire to create it in. So how many times do you invest time, energy, money in something because you decided that you didn't invest the time and money and energy because you decided that you didn't have the time, money, and energy to do it? People tell me like, oh, this is chicken or the egg. I can't tell you. There was like a period of time when people were telling this left and right. It's chicken or the egg. And I'm like, no, it's not. You decide. So you actually decide with your conviction and going first. The honest answer is nothing to do with how much you have now. It's the deciding that you need no evidence to move. Yes, this is a level of delusion and wild conviction that not many people can hold. But I can see the amount of self-trust someone has by the objections that they have when they have no evidence. You create the evidence. You determine the results, nothing else. So I cannot believe we're coming up on the hour. We are going to go a lot longer. So hold on tight. Hold on tight. This is like the channeling coming through for this, I think is really, really necessary. So I just want to talk to the invitation in these, right? Validation is the energy leak that keeps you tethered to an old consciousness, tethered to outside things. The moment you stop looking for external proof and trust yourself to create it, you shift into a new frequency of leadership on conscious creation. And this is the space where you launch the offer that no one's doing. You do the things when there's no evidence, sometimes for a really freaking long time. You say yes to the projects, the ideas, the investments, the opportunities that light you up, even if it doesn't doesn't make any logical sense. You trust your ability to make next level money, not because it's guaranteed, but because you're rooted in your own power. So my clients have experienced this firsthand. Like, one restructured their entire business to align with their vision to like exactly like it's this wild, exciting feeling when you do this. They stopped looking outside, relying on what brought the money in to finally allow that true legacy work to emerge. And what happens within weeks, opportunities were just like falling into his lap because he had opened himself to a new way of being. He also let a lot of old things die, which is scary and also exciting. He realized he had an extremely unique technology that would amplify the growing tech industry in ways that no one had ever seen. And if he kept going for the validation, he'd still be doing the same thing, the same work that had him bored as hell and literally creating issues because he was so bored. So the question is, where are you seeking validation? What would it look like to shift into power? What do you think would be available to you then? Okay. Gonna give you, how are we feeling? I'm gonna give you a little break. 30-second break, 10-second break. And then we're gonna move into the next one. And then I'll close it up. But this actually is one of the biggest that I see. Capping, wealth, prosperity, magnetism, power, the distorted frequencies from unresolved or hidden emotions. And this is where it gets really juicy. This is some of the most profound bespoke work that I do because I see it almost immediately. And we hyperspeed because you're not stuck in these old patterns of thought and consciousness that keep you operating in this single dimension. So you know this is the path. This is probably not new to you. But most don't get to the actual root. And I think most people are satisfied with just doing the surface stuff. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that out loud. Because I was too. But my obsession slash genius slash is that I do not give up on this, even when you think you've reached the root. I am very intentional about keeping my ego out of this as much as a human can. I don't worry if you like me. My goal is to go deeper than you have before. Ask the next question and the next and the next and the next. We find beneath it all there's a driver, the energetic code that we shift so that your experience shifts. Not that so you just feel better emotionally. That's nice. Not just so you get the idea. That's also really nice too. Not just feeling the frequency of your desire, but like your actual reality shifts. There are actions that go along with this sometimes as well, not just the mindgasm. This is where some of the work is the most profound, because shifting some of my clients from the edge of burnout or extreme frustration or anxiety or a deep desire for more momentum, right, to like a beautiful surrender to collapsing timelines and creating things so fast where opportunities are opening up, money is coming in, opening up their wealth in so many new ways from different directions, like investments just coming through, clients and interviews and invitations, which always feels so good. This is what I've noticed so much in my world too, is when someone invites you. Some of you have actually been personally invited by me. That's a code. That's something that's like, oh, yes, I'm wanted here. Wow. You know, there's something so beautiful in that. This actually leads to a new kind of wealth when we address these distorted frequencies. This is why I don't do template anything, because your block is not going to be someone else's. What's living in your past, what's living in your now, your energetic body is all unique, right? The patterns these patterns can be released. And I've spoken on some of these in the past, like the hidden king frequency, you know, frustration is even essentially masking and keeping up, maintaining some kind of mask, which is going to drain energy. The blessings, the money, and the people meant for you don't reach you because they can't see you. You deflect, right? Because maybe you think you're not worthy, or you harbor the fear of being seen or being weak or being vulnerable, like we talked about before, like admitting that, oh, I'm having a challenge or I don't know. I get this so much with leaders. I'll ask them about a challenge and they'll love and light it. They'll love and light it. I'm like, No, or they'll soften it, or they say, no, everything's great. Everything's great. Everything's flowing. I know that, I probably need to do this, but everything in divine timing, right? There's more there, and we can totally address this very, very quickly. And it might be out of the fear of truly admitting this isn't what they really want, and they've spent so much time doing it. Um, it isn't it isn't that bad, so why am I going to complain about it, right? So once again, you're not here for average, you're not here for mediocre. So when you don't activate this potential, it really does drain you. You're meant to be connected to that beautiful source of creativity, of mastery, of leadership. And performing and hiding, this messes with your magnetism and what you're attracting. So essentially, we're going back to fractured energy. You find where you're fracturing your energy, you find your portal. Maybe you're desiring a thing. Okay, a lot of you are just like trying to bust this plateau. But then secretly underneath, there's a reason why you're capping it, that you actually don't want it. And of course, you're like, of course I want it. Yes, I want it, right? Your mind's like, yes. But deep down, there's a fear of losing your partner, of losing friendships, of what colleagues will think, what your team is going to think, what your audience is going to think. They're going to think I'm crazy, or there's a fear of losing your reputation, or looking weird, or delusional, right? Or the energy of desiring illogical, light speed results, and then reverting back to your mind and coming up with all the excuses as to why logically you can't do that right now. It's not the right time, whatever that is, right? It's an illusion. We all get stuck. We all get stuck in it, right? But when we get unstuck, this is really when we can build a legacy that doesn't need to be tethered to anything, not the outside world, not what others think, not what you're told is possible, not the market, not even time, where we can tap into our conscious power and true desire. So some patterns I just want to go through quickly that, will indicate fractures in energy. So like gaining and losing money or opportunities swiftly, things fizzling out or sometimes chaotically exploding, not being able to hold the results, hold the money, hold the success, even if you get it. Maybe your power and confidence depends on the money. Like we said, being seen, engagement, accolades, getting validation or worthiness from your work. So when you aren't working, or you don't see those things, you don't see the money, or you don't see, I don't know if you're using social media, you don't see the engagement you want, like you failed, or something's wrong, or you start to seek out solutions and problem solve from your mind, right? Or even having the money and still feeling like you failed and that it isn't enough. The need to be on all the time is another one, and never shutting off. That's a big one. Mind chatter, like endlessly trying to figure out the solution. This is you in logic. Mindgasms, like we talked about, with no actual 3D results. Doesn't mean we're relying on 3D results, but very often the mindgasm is you getting your dopamine hit and your mind convincing you that, oh my God, I've shifted. But if you're returning right back to any of these patterns, or don't actually see results, like your commands don't actually come through, there's something hidden there that we've got to look at. So sometimes you're gaining the goal and then you're feeling empty, and that's a little jarring and surprising. Or you can't celebrate the goal. Like you dilute yourself, you're scared to share big wins, because then what's going to happen? You're going to lose friends, be shamed as too big. People will be jealous. So, you're like, no, you'll say, I'm lucky. I'm just lucky, right? Which is absolute bullshit. Feeling hard work is the only way that you can create more wealth. That's another fracture. And, being tied to linear creation, your input needs to equal the output. And then you're just forever upping your action, right? When there's another way to experience your business. So any of these sound familiar? Which ones? That's fine. There will be a replay. I highly recommend going back and giving it a re-listen. Some of you can, use the app, which I think is really wonderful. So you can just put headphones in and fast forward to where you left off. So for me, I was tied heavy into the input equals output for a good long while. And then the validation, that was another one. I get really frustrated. No one's seeing me. Where's the money? No one's engaging. Where's the results, right? And this works, but it doesn't actually feel the way I thought it would, right? Like, what is that? So let me know. Are you feeling this? Have you experienced any of those? These are the kind of patterns I want you to be very, very cognizant of. Like my client who discovered he was walking around in this proving energy. We got to the root of why and we shifted it, and then all of a sudden, like 9 months of stagnancy, like not making sales, not really working, and also working with business coaches to solve this. And finally we have a session, and then clients start reaching out, right? They heard the call. It was magnetic because we shifted this, right? These core programs are the things that I pick up on and illuminate in my clients in seconds. Some spend years trying to figure it out on their own. I think a lot of people think this is complicated. It's going to take a lot of time. You need to spend hours reprogramming. First, you've just got to illuminate, right? See the actual thing, not the surface thing. This is while, you know, sometimes you will think, oh, I know what it is. I'm going to work on it, right? And then people come to me despite the work, right? Like, oh, that wasn't it. And that's very frustrating. You know, if it's still happening, we just need to get to the root. That's all. So you can bring some of the unconscious to conscious. You must do this first, right? You can do some of this work yourself. Yes. This is why I do have self-study that helps address this to make some of these things conscious. But here's what happens. People think, oh, this has to be a business problem. It has to be an offer problem, a message problem, a strategy problem, or here's where the energy's off, and then start working there without seeing these few layers beneath, right? And I love efficiency. I really hate to see high performers inefficient, because efficiency isn't just about you going, you know, faster for faster's sake. It's about you having the time to nourish your life, to spend time with your loved ones, right? This is why we are efficient. This is why we like cut the fat on things, right? So someone came to me, they're telling me I'm not reaching the clients I desire. It's good, but it's not the people I want to work with. And when invited into a space to unlock this, what was the first thing he essentially says to me? Prove to me this is going to work. Show me how you can do this for me. And like immediately I was like, oh, there's the key. He didn't see it, which is okay, but like there it was. Because when I read the energy, like I went to his website and the images there, he was trying to prove himself to everyone. People don't pick up on this consciously, but unconsciously they do. They feel your energy. And he was repelling those he wanted to attract. And his questions in our call was about me proving to him that he could do it. And of course I refused, as I do, because that is his responsibility. That is his sovereignty there. And I can see this was his current operational system that kept him in waiting energy, and he never fully opened up his energy to the kind of clients that he didn't need to actually prove himself to. So that's why he had to keep proving himself to misaligned clients, and that's why it was not fun, right? Or another, I felt like they were so ready to move into this next identity of business. This client loved how I particularly expressed and articulated and kept asking me for help with messaging. And they've done all the things around it. And then they were like, okay, after I do XYZ, after I take XYZ program, I'll do this retreat, I'll solidify my offers, I'll be ready to launch my offers then I'll be ready to get the help I need. And he was planning this like 3 or 4 months later. Like, I'll be ready then. I can't wait. Okay, when actually this work can happen in a few sessions, and he doesn't even need any of those things to feel like he's prepared. So the key for him, right, was this preparation mode that kept him waiting. Have you done this? Also, I have as well. But now, if we're talking about hyperspeed, the hyperspeed, the key for him was this like, oh, we need to address preparation mode. The energy of waiting kept him in the energetic loop of waiting, the over preparation, the belief, I don't have time now, the living of that reality, the signing up for one more certification. I see a lot of people doing this too. One more business course, one more coach to get all the ducks in the row. There are no ducks and there are no rows unless you make them. So all of these are keys, right? I know that you do the work, but if the retreats and the programs worked, if the waiting worked, if the proving worked, if the doing their way worked, if doubting yourself worked, if asking a million questions worked, if the input equaled output worked for you and you felt satisfied, you'd feel deeply connected and in command and experiencing your desired outcome. You'd have people in your inbox. You'd have You'd have these things without sacrificing parts of yourself and your brilliance. You'd feel the momentum of the visionary goal unfolding, right? You'd feel comfortable and joyful in the experience of it. So one last thing, and then we'll wrap it up here. This waiting energy is really what I want to get into here, because this is a big one about if you want to code and you want to craft your reality and you want to experience it at hyper speed, you need to stop feeling like you're catching up. So I see in clients, especially trying to hyperspeed, but then feel like they are never quite there. Like, do you ever feel like you're not quite there yet? Why am I not there yet? You're always trying to catch up, win the race. Part of this is being on all the time, doing the work, looking, comparing, adding more action. Even if you stay in your own lane, the judgment of where you are is exactly why you're not growing at the speed of your desire. Or the reason why that goal is in the future. So what I see for my clients and for myself experiencing this, that exact portal for you to collapse time around that goal that you're looking to hit, and the expansion of your wealth in your business, financial and spiritual prosperity. Energetic work is the work of efficiency, right? And I have a very high standard around this, because if you're willing to do the work, but you're still doubting and diluting yourself, if you're still feeling like you need to catch up, you still feel like you are not there yet, this is going to have you hit a barrier, and hit it hard. Ask me how I know. And so when we remove this idea of it happens in the future, when I can, I will, when I am, I can, when, right? This is what you're doing. You're saying, I want the thing, and you're putting it out here, and you're just moving like this. So it's always in the future. And it's so frustrating. So it's always in the future. So you're somehow trying to catch up to a result. And when we break down what identity, what frequency you're living in now, how to activate it now, not in the future, but now. And then we actually apply this to strategically what you're doing in your business, how you're showing up, how you're messaging, how you're selling, how you're moving, right? We can apply all of this. It's extremely grounded, but this is what creates the most power, and you can strategically apply it to the goals that you're aiming for. So every single time we find that corner of where you're hiding, where we look at the wound, where we look at the dilution, we also find the key. So if you're a visionary leader, entrepreneur, CEO, founder, you're not addressing your energy, you're not getting to the root of it, you're operating at a fraction of your potential. And what I love about the work is what I feel truly here to do is help you unlock an entirely new level of permission to create and encode your reality at will, to learn how to be it now, which requires you to like a new look at your surroundings, like we said, your energy, your business, in a way that's going to give birth to that new identity that can architect, that can be, embody, and hold the frequency of this level beyond your current plateau. So this requires moving beyond the mind into the body, right, into this energetic precision for you. And so the keys today that we've covered are the first steps to that. So we uncovered so much today. I'm gonna wrap it up. I'd love to hear breakthroughs, takeaways. How are we all doing? Type in the chat. And also feel free to privately message me to share as well. I'd so appreciate that. I'd love to hear what's coming through for you. And the truth is, you're here for a reason today. I truly believe those who cross my path, it's not a coincidence. There is that calling for more, not just externally that gets to happen, but internally as well. And here's the thing, it doesn't come from consuming more information. It comes from being in an environment where precision and mastery are a standard, a space where you are truly seen, where every move you make is amplified, and you are building strategically both in the 3D and energetically. So if you've received the transmission today and it feels good and you're done, then thank you for joining me. But for those who are ready now for this next level and to be powerfully supported, who knows that it does not end here, this is just the tipping point in the beginning. I want to share something with you after I go into this. Yes, amazing. I love it. Wonderful, Grant. So what I want to share with you is when the new year started, I wanted to offer something to my clients who desire elegance, who desire precision. This, believe it or not, was building all year, something that wasn't a group program or a cookie cutter experience that allows you to tap in exactly when you needed it for premium support, where you can access the most potent parts of my Black Diamond process and personal alchemy, and have it a one-to-one container designed specifically for the visionary who knows they are meant to lead at the highest level and stop waiting for clarity, stop chasing results and outdated strategies. So I want to introduce you to the Black Diamond Continuum. I literally was so excited. I wanted to do this live stream about an hour earlier today. I was so ready because here you're stepping into a world where time bends in your favor. What feels years away begins materializing, projects, confidence, creative flow, the clarity of how to collapse time for those projects, to build and architect those projects infused with magnetism. Whether it is an offering that you want to get off the ground or increasing sales through your unique selling signature, through your energy, through unlocking some of the things that we talked about today at an extremely deep level, we remove the code of chasing opportunity and see where you've been leaking energy so that you then can collapse time. So wealth from your business and your legacy goal can be the natural byproducts of operating in this kind of alignment and integrity with your essence and your organic blueprint. It becomes effortless, like I said, because you've let go of what's been keeping you at a standstill, the energy that's kind of holding you in that pattern, and you know how to apply those shifts to the outside world. It's not about just visioning and planning and prepping. It's about strategic implementation, specific shifting into the beingness of the who that brings your results towards you. Every decision that you make is then infused with confidence, with potency, with clarity, with conviction. We talked about that unshakable conviction. So here's what the Black Diamond Continuum looks like in action. I will share something with you later as well. But this is a monthly one-to-one container. So there's portal access, a private library of my exclusive Black Diamond laser trainings and activations tailored to keep you sharp, focused, address exactly what has been working for my clients. There's going to be a monthly bespoke audio activation. This is bespoke for you as an individual. So it's crafted specifically for you. Each month's transmission is your energetic upgrade, so it's a recalibration to meet your next level. It might be in the form of a professionally scored and uniquely channeled activation meditation so that we bypass your mind, or an equally powerful channeling on the next steps, applying energetics specifically to your business or strategy or identity work to shift you quickly. And then a monthly laser 30-minute call. I'm so excited about this because people know that when they get in my space for the 30 minutes, it is high impact precision coaching. So some of you know what this is like already. We cut straight to the heart of what matters. So you leave with an actionable clarity every month. So you come to me where you're at, we identify the block, we shift it, you apply it, you watch time collapse. This is the, cut through the noise, maximum results in a really short amount of time. And then you get 1 Telegram week with me per month. So that's real-time access to me for strategy tweaks, energetic recalibrations, celebrations. This isn't about waiting, it's about that momentum. So when you need it most. So you decide the week, we flow back and forth, on and off, depending on what you need. I channel, we get precise, I give you feedback, transmissions, and real-time shifts anywhere in the world. And so I know a lot of you are in different time zones than I am. And this is always so, so beautiful in terms of mentorship in this way. So I'm going to be sending out the Black Diamond dossier after this event with all the details. So warning label, this container is not for everyone. It is not meant to be. My messenger is absolutely open for short conversations to see if it is a good fit. I only have 5 spots at a given time. So you can join monthly for a minimum of 3 months, or you can join for 6 months. So you can also upgrade to the Black Diamond experience. So it really is for the few who are ready to stop circling their potential, who want a laser precise look at their energy and finally step into the reality or the expansion that they have been craving. So every moment you wait is a moment untapped. And it's okay if you don't want to move at this pace. I work really quickly, but for me, this container is about that precision, that level of speed, so you can have that exclusive access. This is not a group program. Like I said, it's a one-to-one experience. So those I work with love depth, love the breadth of this, because you'll have time to really ingest and experience as you need to and get that real-time support. And then, you know, anytime you need to have access to deep dive into something, that's why I'm here. So stay tuned. I'll share everything in the dossier. So for some of you, there might be hesitations. So let me just tell you that thinking that that aspect that I've learned along the journey, there's never ready. It's about deciding always. And if you're doing fine, that's cool. But this is for those who find isn't enough, who desire more connection, more expansion, more evolution, more satisfaction, more prosperity. This is for you. This is not about going into energetic hustle either. I'm here to honor your pace, but I can also see where so many of you have been delaying this next leap again and again. And I totally get it, because this requires you sometimes to feel like you're in a very vulnerable place, or it's a little scary, but I guarantee you that is the portal. And together we get to shift that very, very quickly. This is why results happen even before we get to work sometimes, because it was a decision that you made for yourself, not for me. It was for you. And the portal opened because you make space for it. So because I also honor the action takers, and because I'm also obsessed with the program and what happens when people join, I'm also including the King Crucible. That's my gift for you if you enroll this month. It is a $9.99 self-led experience to illuminate blind spots, move you into conscious sovereignty, and shift your trajectory fast through archetypal energy. And it is so beautiful. So that is my gift to you if you join in January. So once again, the Black Diamond Continuum only has 5 spots. Once they're gone, they might not be available again for, you know, coming weeks and months, depending on, you know, how that's flowing. So look out for the links in the group. I'll put it below the replay in a follow-up email with all the details later. And of course, if this resonated with you, you want to jump in immediately now, just message me. If you have any questions, just message me. And yeah, just thank you so much for joining me. This was amazing. I know a lot channeled through. These are always longer than I expect, but yeah, it's just so much fun to come in here and really address these. And I cannot wait to hear what shifts for you guys as you go through yeah, the coming weeks now. So please feel free to leave some insights, your breakthroughs inside the group feed if you're called to share. I would absolutely love to hear. So thank you again, and bye for now.